And today, my friends, today's guest, oh, buckle up because she is equal parts powerhouse and just pure heart. She's a wife of 24 years, a mom of three incredible sons, and the creative genius behind a multi-million-dollar stationery and party brand, a brand that she built from her kitchen table while broke, exhausted, and just trying to make enough extra money for her son to play t-ball. I know some of us can relate to that for sure. She went from shut off notices to designing thousands of products to running a thriving business that she built with grit, intuition, and pure creative fire. And just when you think that's inspiring enough, my friends, she lost her business overnight. Not once, twice, and rebuilt it stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever, both times. She followed her spark, she trusted her instincts, and she dared to do things her own way, which is my favorite part about her. And today, through her community, Creator Unleashed, she mentors women in business, helps them to rise with confidence, reconnect their creativity, and trust the intuitive leader that's inside of them. She's grounded, intuitive, kind, and very real. The kind of woman who tells the truth about the bad parts, perhaps, the messy middle, so that nobody feels alone in their struggle. So please welcome, my friends, to our show, Amanda Wittenborn. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello.
You are so welcome. I am so excited that you're here today. Thank you for taking the time to be here. So,
Absolutely.
Amanda, before we get started on your incredible journey of ups and downs and rising above all of it, let's start off with the really important stuff. I love to pull back the curtain just a little bit so everybody knows you're human. What is one quirky, weird, or just plain human thing about you that your community, clients, people that you work with might never guess about you?
I am not a morning person. And not
What?
only am I not a morning person, I'm not very friendly in the morning.
Monster Amanda comes out in the mornings.
No, just no talking.
Okay.
Let's not talk. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me to talk. Let me just be.
That's why, my friends, we're not recording this at 5 a.m. That's why. She's not part of the
Absolutely.
5 a.m. club.
Right. I definitely not. I
I
don't
love
belong
it.
there.
Well, and it's really great that you know that about yourself, because I think so often people are not forced, but it's pushed upon us like, get your, feet grounded in the morning before everybody wakes up while you have just your time. Wake up at 4, which I do, but that works for me because I am a morning person. And I love that you're like, no, I'm just not. That's just not how it's going to be.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
The ones that like to get up at 5 a.m., I'm like, okay, but why? Do you really like that? Or do you think that that is going to somehow make you a better person? I don't get it. But if you love it, that's great.
I
Good for
do.
you.
And I can
Maybe not
answer
going to
that
catch me.
question. It's literally the only time, and it's beautiful and it's crisp. And it's the only time that no one really truly needs anything from me as a mom of four, and they're all still really little. Um, and it's amazing. And they go to bed early, so I can go to bed early, right? And that's when I feel like my brain is clearest and functions best. Although, admittedly, not this morning. This morning, I was like, I don't want to get up. My alarm went off, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen very often, but I was like, no, not today.
My
Not
sister
today.
does it. She gets up in the morning crazy early just to read so that she has some
Yeah.
time before the chaos starts.
Yeah.
And I like my bed too much.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Well, Amanda, we're going to start by going back for a minute. And I like summarized all of this so much. So you can totally fill in any of the gaps. But you grew up broke, right? Not like tight budget broke, but like park the car so it doesn't get towed kind of broke. Then fast forward, you were postpartum, exhausted, designing invitations just to get your son into T-ball. We talked about that in the intro. And then boom, Etsy shuts your shop down, and you can tell that story because it wasn't your fault, and bans you permanently. Seems a little extreme. And that is, you had figured it out. And that is soul crushing. I feel like that moment that a lot of people might never recover from. Can you take us back as far as you want to go? And definitely, especially to that moment. And what did it feel like to lose the thing that you had finally gotten to give your family that breathing room?
Yeah, so it really was from the time I was married. My husband and I just struggled, but specifically from when we had our oldest son, who is going to be 20 in a month, which is so crazy
Ooh.
to me. Um, there was an insurance snafu. He switched jobs while I was pregnant, and 3 months after my son was born, we found out we had him without any insurance. So
Oh
that was
no.
really fun, and I was very young at the time. I had him when I was 25, and so we had only been married a few years. Very think about a 25-year-old today, right? Like,
Yeah.
and navigating that, and so it just caused financial issues for many years for us that just we couldn't get ahead of. Bill
Yeah.
collectors were calling. We were parking the car that was farther behind in payments at the front of the driveway, so it couldn't be towed. And there was no extra money for T-ball or
Yeah.
for a pair of shoes. I mean, I remember my husband had holes in the bottom of his shoes, and when it would rain, you know, the
Wet
water's
socks.
coming in the shoe. It's like
Yeah.
we should be able to buy new shoes, but we literally couldn't. And I did start my business as a way to just make a little extra money for those types of things, to
Hmm.
just help us make ends meet and to not struggle so much. And I would say it took about 3 or 4 years to build it up. From the time I started to the time that the shop got shut down was probably about a 4-year time frame. And it was the first time in our marriage we weren't living paycheck to paycheck. We had extra money. Not only did we have extra money, but we had two properties. So we had rented out our small home so that we could rent a bigger home. So we were somebody was living in the home we owned and we were renting, and the people renting were struggling and couldn't pay, and we were able to cover both of those at that time. I mean,
And
to go
all
from
from you in your business.
yes, and to
I
go
love it.
from being broke to not really having to worry too much that they weren't
Yeah.
paying on time
Yeah.
to being able to cover that. It was the first time we kind of had some freedom.
Yeah.
Um, and that was kind of when, they'd say money can't buy happiness, and I will deny that because it really can. I will say it doesn't buy you any more happiness once all your bills are covered. So you
Hmm.
can't just keep exponentially getting more money, but if you're struggling to pay bills and make ends meet, money absolutely can give you happiness when you can achieve those things.
Yeah.
But it does not grow past that. Once that
Right.
was covered, then there's no more happiness that came from that. The peace
Yeah.
that it brought was an amazing thing. And so I had my third son, and it was in like that first month or so after he was born. Three of them now. I think my oldest was 7, so I had like a 7, a 4, and a newborn. And I got an email that said there was a flag for copyright on one of my items, and it was something I specifically had emailed permission to do. And I had an email that gave permission. And so I was like, oh, I have permission. I will look into this. And a week went by, and I had forgotten to look into it or do anything, and another flag came, and then that was when I got the email that they shut down the shop. It was permanent. Um, I'm banned permanently, so I am an outlaw, just so you know that you're talking
Dun
to an
dun
outlaw
dun.
here.
Amanda on the black market.
Yep, wanted, dead or alive. And
My
that was
goodness.
that. And even though I had the email that had given permission and I cleared it all up, Etsy still said, nope,
No.
sorry, that's it. And I, you asked what it felt like. I don't even know that I could give you the words to describe losing that.
Yeah.
After 4 years of my life went into building that, getting us to a financial comfort place. It was not like we didn't need that income that was coming in from my business. We definitely did. And so now it was, oh, okay, well, now we have two properties. We have a home we own that renters aren't paying on. We have a home we're renting that we have to pay. And I just lost this income overnight. I mean, orders stopped, payments stopped, everything stopped. And I
And
was
so that
devastated.
peace that you had gone. You're listening to another episode of Empowered and Unstoppable. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. Are you ready to take your success to the next level? Visit www.meganbunnellcoaching.com.
Yeah, I was freaking out. There were lots of tears, probably hopelessness feeling. Um, it's like our language just doesn't describe those emotions quite well enough.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's getting fired from your dream job. I mean, I loved what I was doing. I loved waking up every day, deciding what new party themes to work on, what new products I wanted to create and put out there for sale. It lit me up. I
Mm-hmm.
got out of bed maybe even earlier than I like to because I was excited.
Yeah.
And it was just gone. It was gone. And
Yeah.
I will be honest, I gave up for a while when that happened. I said, well, that was my shot. It's over. And I need to
Done.
figure something else out.
Yeah. And you know, as you were talking, it really is two things that you were grieving. One, that financial piece that you got, right? That was solving a problem you had. But then it sounds like you were truly doing a dream job for you, right? You absolutely loved it. So it's not just the money, it was like you said, it lit you up. It was the joy that it brought to your life. And both of those things, those are very separate entities. Both of those crushed. And I would imagine there has to be this middle layer of feeling like a failure of, there's that too, right? Like that inner fight that you have. And I think so many people can relate to that, not to your story in specific, but to that kind of devastation and grief that there aren't words for, but that it is just soul crushing. I mean, there really aren't letters you can put together that can explain what you're feeling. Um, and you felt it, I would imagine, on, like I said, more than one level for more than one point, which is crazy. And I think, like you said, you gave up at that time, right? And you're like, this is it. I have to do something else. And I think a lot of people don't ever bounce back from losing a business once, right? But you actually did it twice. And what you just said, I feel like that's where people can imagine never wanting to be again, right? How you felt. And I can imagine a lot of people would feel exactly how you felt. And I just want to give up. So, what made you not give up? What made that not a stop sign, but just a pause?
So, do you ever have like a little nagging voice in your head?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My little nagging voice kept saying, you're supposed to be making party supplies.
Hmm.
You really should be making party supplies. And I fought it because I was like, I've tried that.
I've been there, people.
I did it. And that was the only time I've ever had any success selling it. And everything else I've tried hasn't worked. And, but you're supposed to be making party supplies. And so it was just a nagging. It was this like inner knowing almost that would
Hmm.
just not leave me alone. I actually started designing for a competitor about 9 months after this happened. She had sent out an email looking for somebody to help with designs. She would design the invitation. I would design all the coordinating products matching her style. And she still sells some of the products that I designed for her. And it was one of the best relationships that I ever had. We learned a ton from each other. And that really was the spark because I was designing party supplies again. And it just made me think there's got to be a way I could figure this out. I knew I had product that people liked,
Hmm.
so it was just finding the audience. And the biggest audience at the time, and probably still, was on Amazon. And
Hmm.
so I had to figure out how to make my product work for Amazon because at the time on Etsy, everything was a digital download. So customers would purchase, they would download, they would print it themselves.
Mm.
Amazon doesn't allow that kind of
Nope.
sale, no digital downloads. All has to be physical product, which was not what I did
Yeah.
and I had never done. And I just thought, well, if I can't make my product work on Amazon, what can I make that would work for Amazon? And instead of a custom invitation, I decided to design some fill in style invitations. And of course, I had that little voice going, nobody's going to want to handwrite their details.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to want to do that. But I was like, you know what? We're just going to see. I'm just going to
Yeah.
try it and I'm just going to see what happens. And so I maybe picked 10 popular designs at the time, put them up for sale on Amazon, and just thought, well, we'll see what happens. And they started to sell.
I love it. And I think that's the difference between people who truly take that as a stop sign and people that don't is you listened to you, right? And I don't think we're always right, right? I don't know that that inner voice is always right, but it is always something to listen to and to consider. And when it doesn't quiet, there's a reason. There really is. Like that is your soul, yourself telling you what's going to light you up and what you need to figure out to make work. And eventually you listened. And so tell us about that. So I know one of the things that I love, friends, the most about Amanda is that she is not it has to be perfect. Right. And from what I understand on the whole Amazon journey, you talk openly about the fact that you didn't have it all figured out, right? But that you didn't want to wait to be ready. You didn't want to wait for perfection. And so you sold, I think, your first physical product on Amazon without even knowing how to print it.
That
So,
is
can
true.
you talk about that? Why, like, tell us that story. And then why do you think that done is better than perfect? And how did you use that rule to build your business?
Yeah. So the cool thing about my product is I can design it on the computer and then I could just make some preview images also on the computer and not actually have a physical product yet.
Right. Right.
So that was a zero cost way to even attempt Amazon because I didn't have money. I didn't
And
have
you
a
did,
way to invest in anything, and I certainly didn't want to invest if I didn't know if it was going to work.
yeah,
So when I put those invites up for sale, they were just images.
just
They
digital.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
They were digital. And so yes, I got that first order and I went, "Oh,
Uh oh.
okay. Guess I'm going to have to figure out how to print this."
Uh
And
oh.
one of the things that I was really adamant about and still am is double-sided invitations because why not? The backside should be just as fun as the front.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a blank white background. Have
No.
you ever tried to print double-sided on your home printer and have it line up?
Oh, ma'am, I have.
Yeah.
And it usually doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Wanted to throw the printer out the window.
Mm hmm.
But instead, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send it to the local office supply store. We'll let them print it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I had them print it. They lined it up perfectly. I had to go pick it up and hand cut out those invitations. And then 5x7 envelopes are not standard
Nope.
office supply store sized envelopes. They're craft store envelopes. So I had to go to the craft store, pick up the envelopes there. Then I come home, I'm hand cutting the invites, and I'm like, what do I put these in? I had no packaging. I didn't
No.
have an envelope. I'm
Yeah.
just like I was convinced nobody was going to buy this. So now
Yeah.
I'm like, well, somebody bought it. I better figure it out. And
Yeah.
I think I put it in a Ziploc bag, and then I just got a mailer, and off
I
it
love it.
went. And they didn't complain. They used them.
No.
They invited people to their party. Still think about that very first order. It was like a superhero invite. Um, and yeah, the thing is that I didn't have it all figured out. I didn't have any of it figured out. And what I'm doing today is a streamlined system that has been built over the past 9 years. There is no way I would know how to do what I'm doing right now back when I started. The
Right.
only way I got that information was by trial and error, learning as I went. And so I am a huge proponent of done is better than perfect. I love to be a perfectionist. I often say I'm a recovering perfectionist
I love that.
because then I'm not claiming that I still am. I'm recovering. I
Yeah.
like things to be just so. I get it. And I understand that wanting everything to be exactly the way you want it, but that actually isn't what equates to sales. That's not
Mm-mm.
what makes money. And so I was more interested in making money than it being exactly perfect the way that I wanted it. And so
Yeah.
my focus was just on how can I get product into people's hands and what's the nicest way to do that, what's the easiest, what's the quickest. And yeah, packaging has gotten better over time. We shrink wrapped it for a while. Now we have bags that fit things perfectly. We have a cute little insert, but none of that was right at the beginning, and it wasn't necessary. Well, because what
Mm-mm.
was necessary was to start making money
Mm-hmm.
so that I had the money to do those next steps. And
Yes.
so, yeah, you can't get caught up in especially at the beginning, you want everything to be right, but you can't know that until you've actually started doing the work. And then the answers come because then you start to see, oh, well, this is a better way to do it. Oh, well, this is a better way to print shipping labels. Oh, this is better packaging. Oh, this is cheaper packaging. But you couldn't possibly have all those answers at the beginning.
No, and I love that. I think that that's something we should all have written on our wall is you won't have all the answers at the start. You get them by starting. Done is better than perfect. I love that. And so that adventure went really really well for you.
Sure
And
did.
th- and then and then you rebuilt it. You found your footing, all the things. And then 2020 came around, and we all know COVID came around and parties shut down, which was your livelihood, right? I think you said that sales dropped by like 95% and people were returning like confetti, right? Because they just weren't having their parties. And I had read something where you said you were literally sitting on the couch watching the Tiger King, great idea, by the way, asking, what can I do with the skills that I have right now? Which honestly is one of the most relatable 2020 scenes, I think, ever. We all experience that in very different ways, but we all can relate to that. So, can you take us into that? How did you reinvent yourself and your business when the world shifted so much away from what you were doing?
Yeah. Well, I think, you said the key thing that just turned over in my mind over and over was asking myself that question. What can I do with the skills that I currently have that could be needed and useful right now at a time like this? I did not manufacture toilet paper or
Mm-hmm.
face masks or hand sanitizer.
But
Like,
if you
that was
had,
not my jam.
right, right.
If I had, then I wouldn't have had a struggle. But I
Mm-hmm.
was a party supply seller, and you know, I think what it came down to is recognizing a deeper part of what I'm doing, and that is creating connection, spreading joy, and finding ways to do that. And it doesn't always have to be done with a party supply. So, how could I use my designs, my skills, to still create connection and still help people in a time like that? And so I started just brainstorming what are some useful items right now that I could design. So I started doing all sorts of things. I did coffee mugs, I did journals, I did package inserts for small business, things that had really beautiful messages like thank you so much for some supporting handmade, or because businesses were still selling product. And so
Mm-hmm.
we had all these cute little themes to go in there, some stickers for your mailers, and change of plans postcards. So parties and events and weddings were being canceled, and so I designed a set of change of plans postcards. And on the back it said, we're rescheduling this, or we're changing the date, or it was like three little check boxes, and it was really cute. My one favorite one was a little poop emoji and a toilet paper emoji on the front, and it said, "This stinks, but we're rolling with it."
I love it.
Because I love puns and I love silliness. And
Mm-hmm.
my background is in education, and so I'm friends with a lot of teachers on Facebook. I posted that one up, and somebody said, "Could you leave the back blank so I could send it to my students?"
Sure can.
And I was like, "Well, that's a great idea." And I designed a whole bunch of postcards for teachers to send to their students because I had three young kids right at that time, and they were definitely missing going to school. You never think that'd be possible, but they were.
Mm-hmm.
And you knew that the teachers were just beside themselves trying to figure this out and navigate it. And probably one of the worst things they've ever had to go through in their profession.
Yep.
Super stressful for our children. And I just started making all these adorable punny phrased cards for teachers to mail to their students as a form of connection during
Love
this
it.
crazy time. And it was the right product at the right time, and it just blew up. It just went crazy. and
Love it.
teachers were ordering. They did not exist on Amazon. Now, if
Yeah.
you go, I was the trend creator. I was the one that decided that six of them needed to be in a pack, six designs. Like the standard that you see for teacher postcards was created by me. Nothing was up. And then all the
Love it.
copycats came in. And
Yeah.
so, but it really helped us as a family get through some of those first initial months during COVID because we were hand packing every single package. I was
Mm-hmm.
ordering cards and we had to count them out and bag them and shrink wrap them, and we were sending neighborhood kids with boxes home for them to pack at home and bring back to us for us to ship out. It was insane in the best way.
Yeah.
And immediately I was like, these are going so well. I wonder if we could sell 1 million postcards. I wonder if we could get 1 million postcards out
Yeah.
to students across the United States. And so we started tracking the counts. And it was about 10 months after we put them up for sale, we hit the 1 million postcard mark. And
I love it.
that's one of my most proud moments in my business, just because that was proof that connection matters
Yes.
and that, you know, that was 1 million kids that got a piece of mail
That
that,
needed it so badly.
yeah, that lit up their face.
Yes.
And I told this story at a conference that I spoke at a couple years ago. And I had somebody come up to me after I spoke, and she goes, "We have one of your postcards still magnet on our fridge. My daughter was one of the students that got one of your postcards."
Oh,
And I was like, I never expected that to happen, but how
yeah.
magical was that? You know,
Yes.
1 million is a lot, but in the scheme of the United States, it's not that many. So
No,
to actually have somebody in the room, and she goes, "You have no idea how much that meant to her." And it's still on the fridge, and it had been like 3 years.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
So,
love that.
and we still sell postcards for teachers, and they're
Yeah.
still handing them out, and they're still mailing them to their students, and
My
it's
kids love it. They love it when they get a postcard from their teacher.
yeah.
It's like their teacher exists outside of the classroom because they're obviously back in the classroom now. But, from all of that, I would love for women to hear that when everything falls apart, again, it's not about perfection. You really looked deep to find purpose, right? The purpose in what you were doing, the purpose in what the world needed, and found a match between the gift that you have and a hole that there was in the world. And that's not about perfection in any way. It's really just about purpose, about, in your case, connection with your creativity. And I think that you found that by asking the right questions and not necessarily the comfortable ones, right? And not doing what you're used to. Um, and so I think that's amazing. And I really do think that that speaks to something that clearly is a gift of yours and something that I love about your philosophy, which is that not everything has to be done the industry standard way, right? You were a trailblazer in just that one instance, and I'm sure many more, and that not everything needs a guru's stamp of approval. I feel like you built your multi-million-dollar business by trusting your own instincts. In your case, very creative ones, right? But by listening to that intuition that you have. And our world right now, and probably always has been, just shouts at us, do it this way, right? This is the right way. How did you learn to trust yourself, that nagging voice, ask yourself those questions, especially when you had every reason to doubt that it would work and stay working, right? How did you learn that? How do you do that?
I think it's a little bit of trial and error and following what is working. And so I did try it their way. It didn't work. It wasn't working for me. There were things about it that just didn't work. Get up at 5 a.m. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. And I just found that the more I did it the way that felt good for me and the way that I wanted to do it, the more results I started to see. It didn't have to be data driven and spreadsheets and numbers. I mean, that is not my forte. And that is what all those gurus on Amazon are focused on. Know your
Mm-hmm.
PPC numbers and get your keywords right and data this and data that. And it's like, it's important, but it's not everything.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I could have researched till I was blue in the face what the trending invitation designs were on Amazon. Even now, I find myself getting caught up in that sometimes where I'm like, what's the next big invitation? And I'll try and like data get the answer, market research.
Yeah.
Instead, I just need to go within and go, if I was 7 years old and I was having a birthday party, what theme
What would
would
it
I
be?
want?
Yeah.
Start talking to kids. They're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
They're creative. They have ideas. They want a purple octopus. They don't want, whatever the top search keyword on Amazon is. They want kitty cats in outer space. They want roller skating llamas. And so I just found that the more wild and wacky I got with the characters and the designs on my invitations, the better things went. Instead of trying to pick that next best thing, if I just
Mm-hmm.
designed what felt fun, the kids, that's what they want. And those are my customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, mom buys it, but
But
the
they pick
kids,
it.
they pick it. And the
Yep.
kids. And I'm really good at appealing to kids.
Yeah.
They
I
love
think
my
that's so funny because I don't know how many times I've been like scrolling through invitations for my kids to pick out. And I'm like, that's the, out of all of those, that's the one you pick. But it is like you have to be in the kid's mind, right? In order to do that and do that well. And I think that's beautiful that you shared that because not everybody obviously is a party invitation designer, right? We're not all in that creative space. But what you're giving them permission to do is to understand that your intuition isn't woo woo, right? And that's, everything's like all woo woo right now. It's wisdom and it's allowed to lead. And you're giving them permission to not try to copy, not try to rinse, wash, repeat. Do you. There's only one you in the world, and your brain, your heart, your soul will tell you what you can do and what you're meant to do. And you're giving them permission to do that. And I love that. There's no mold that you can follow that works for everyone. There just isn't.
And when you do it your way, in a way that feels good for you, in a way that you're fully aligned with, there is an energy to that. If you want to talk a little bit of woo, there's an energy that comes from you when you are fully aligned that
Mm-hmm.
then resonates with people. And then people want to be around you because you are doing what you're meant to be doing the way you're meant to be doing it. And if you're
Yes.
trying to fit into somebody else's box, people feel that disconnect. And, I am just a big believer in find the way that works for you and that feels good for you. And if you're doing it that way, you're more likely to be consistent. And
Mm-hmm.
you know that consistency is key over time. That really
Yeah.
builds big businesses, is somebody who's willing to show up day after day and do the thing. So if you're picking things that you're avoiding or you're trying to do things that make you super uncomfortable, that really aren't your thing, you're not going to do them. And then
Nope.
your business is not going to move forward. So,
Yep.
even on just a very surface level, if you're doing things you like to do, you're more likely to do them.
100%. And I love that that really does span just, I mean, everything that any woman could be doing professionally. You do you, and that allows you to be lit up by it, right? To be consistent with it, to not be fighting yourself against things that you hate. And, I've said this so many times so far, but another thing I love about Amanda is that she has recognized that at the very beginning of all this, the person that she needed in her life is the her now, right? The woman that's been through all the things and learned all the lessons. And, Amanda, a lot of women try to build and live life alone, right? They try to do it, be strong, hustle through, learn the things, but they really feel isolated and misunderstood or like nobody in their circle gets it. And you've said time and time again that entrepreneurs are a very rare breed and we need people that are walking on that same path. So, what does community do for women that are hustling and that strategy simply can't? Where does community fall?
If I look back over my journey as an entrepreneur, recognizing the most impactful things, top on the list is having friends. And friends that are in this realm doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember going to my first networking event, and the room was filled with entrepreneurs. And it was the first time I'd ever been in a room with that many entrepreneurs. It probably was the first time I'd ever met anybody else that was an entrepreneur. Because I
Yeah.
remember coming home and going, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. That's what's wrong with me.
Now I get it.
Yes, I was like, there's more like me because it was so alone and I didn't have anybody in my circle and nobody around me had the same way of thinking about problems and thinking their way through it. And I've always been an entrepreneur. So even when I was younger and in high school and in college, I was doing my own thing, which was very against the norm. And so finding friends made it normal
Hmm.
and it wasn't lonely anymore. And not only was I going after my dreams, but they were going after theirs.
Hmm.
And then as time has gone on, honing in on those friends that are building something similar, moving in the same direction, kind of at the same level, that's where the real magic starts to happen because they tried maybe they tried Facebook ads and you tried Instagram ads
Hmm.
and you can tell them this is what worked on
Hmm.
Instagram and they can tell you this is what worked on Facebook. And so you start cutting your timeline of learning down because you can gain knowledge from what they're doing and they can gain knowledge from you. And so it's like there's more of you working at the same time. So I
Yeah.
actually created my own mastermind for myself with my business besties that I've met throughout the years. And
Love
we
it.
get together once a month and we just share what's working, what's not working. It's not a rainbows and sunshine kind of call.
Hmm.
We talk a lot about the struggles that we're having, and a lot of times somebody else has had the same struggle or is going through the same thing, or maybe it's something that you struggled with last month that you can kind of say, well, this is what I did to get past it. So it's just having that group of people around you to learn from, to grow with, and that you feel like you're seen and that you're with your people. Because
Yeah.
most of the time, entrepreneurs tend to be like the only one in their family.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that that's just proof that we rise faster when we rise together. I mean, we really don't have to do it alone. We don't have to learn all the lessons firsthand, and we can share those lessons we did learn firsthand and help others. We don't have to be lone wolfing our dreams, ladies. I promise that is a really fast track to burnout. I love that you said when you came home from that networking event that you're like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Like it hadn't occurred. I love it so much.
Yeah,
I
that was
love
the
it.
first time I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing you could be.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to give you some time to really encourage women. And I know that you have a way for them to get that encouragement, some help, the support from the you now, because they might be the you that was. But before we get to that, I would love for you to leave them with one thing. If you had magical sticky notes and somehow they could magically appear on every woman's bathroom mirror in the morning, what would that sticky note say?
Accept and embrace how amazing you are.
Accept and embrace how amazing you are. I feel like we all need to hear that and be reminded of that.
We all need to do it. It's not just to
Yes.
hear it, you need to do it. You need to tell me why you're amazing. And you need to then go be that amazing. Quit shying away from it, quit hiding it. I will tell you, I am an amazing party invitation designer. And why do you want to work with me? Because I'm really amazing at it. So, what are you amazing at? Because when
I love
you are
that.
lit up and you're out there being amazing, I can't help but want to be in that space with you. You know, you've been around people who are like that and the
Mm-hmm.
energy that they have. Like, imagine if we were all just being the amazing thing that we are and what that might do for this world. So, you can't just hear it, you can't just read it.
Gotta
Go
do it.
be it. Go be amazing because you already
Accept,
are.
accept and embrace how amazing you are.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, Amanda, I can't get enough of your story and you, and I know the massive amount of wisdom that you have to share. So, for every woman out there listening who's as obsessed with you as I am, which I'm sure they all are now, where can we go to learn more, join your community, which we know is so important? Maybe even get mentored by you or dive into your world. Where do we go?
The easiest place is you can find me on Facebook. my name, Amanda Wittenborn, and there's no H in that. So it's a Wittenborn. I have a business page. You can find me there, follow me there. The information for the mentorship program is the Creator Unleashed. That is on the Facebook page. You can email me if you want. It's my name, amandawittenborn@gmail.com. I will answer any email that comes my way. I'm always here to help. And like you said, I created this community with the beginner me in mind and
I
what
love
I
it.
needed at that time and what would have been the most helpful when I was first starting out and feeling all alone. And so this
Mm-hmm.
community is a place for women to come together, share what they're working on, have friends, but then also I'm there and I will
Mm-hmm.
answer any question you have. We do all sorts of things. Monthly, I bring in a 7 or 8 figure guest to do a master class to share their journey, much like we're doing right now,
Mm-hmm.
to learn from them and the things that they've struggled with. But then we do group coaching calls and we do group masterminds. I did a manifesting call. Whatever whim I'm feeling like that month, it comes. So every month is a little different because I like to remain whimsical and creative.
Yeah.
So I don't lock it in. So
Yeah.
you're always going to get a surprise. I have a book club brewing in my mind right now. So
Love it.
there's always something new going on in there and a way to connect and just get support and answers for questions and struggles that you're having. So,
I love it. And that's called Creator Unleashed.
yes, that's the name of it. But it doesn't have like a really pretty link that I could tell you because
No,
it's on
that's okay.
Circle. It's in the Circle community, which is a great platform.
Yeah.
Um, but it's not a pretty link. So you just got to go to my Facebook page and
Okay.
get it there.
Okay, detail. I mean, deal. So we are going to, in the show notes, ladies that are listening, put all the information that you need to get in touch with her. And if you are in the beginning, the middle, or it sounds like even at, closer to the end of reaching where you're hoping to reach in your business, Amanda and all of those fabulous people that she brings in, and just the other women in that community would be such an amazing support for you. Like she said, get your questions answered. I'm sure get inspiration, get motivation, encouragement. We don't have to do this alone. And I happen to know that the cost of that is very little. And so if you are looking for a place that is built for you to be included, involved, taught, helped, supported, that is such an amazing resource for you. So I highly suggest you check it out. Go join that community. Don't do it alone. Learn all the things that Amanda now wish she knew when she was Amanda then, so she can hopefully save you some struggle in the meantime. Amanda, thank you. Your story and your honesty, your resilience, twice, your intuition, it really is a masterclass in rising and obviously in real life. The rebuilding, the doing life your way. You just have given us so much today. I think that all of our women listening can grab a hold of and run with. And if not, what an amazing resource and community with Creator Unleashed. You're living proof that women truly can create something absolutely extraordinary with their amazing selves without burning themselves down to the ground in the process of doing so. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And to everybody listening, if you felt inspired or activated, called out, or even just seen by our conversation today, share the episode with a friend that you know needs to hear it. Reach out to Amanda. She personally will be the one that responds to you. Please don't hesitate to drop a comment, leave a review, or a message to me or Amanda on Instagram. Tell us what you need, what lights you up. If you want a future episode about something specific in the future, please reach out. I'm happy to find somebody that is just the right person to give you that message. I would love to hear what you're craving, what you're struggling with, what you're rising out of. And for the moment, please go get a sticky note and write accept and embrace how amazing you are, and stick that on your bathroom mirror because Amanda hasn't created magical sticky notes yet. Although if any woman could, she probably could do. So this is the show for you, ladies, and we're going to help build your 10 out of 10 life together. I'm your host, Megan Bunnell. Thank you again, Amanda Wittenborn, for being here, and I will see you all next week on Empowered and Unstoppable. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for tuning in to Empowered and Unstoppable. If today's episode spoke to you, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who needs a boost of empowerment. Are you ready to take your success to the next level? Visit www.meganbunnellcoaching.com. Remember, you're not just capable, you're unstoppable. See you next time.